know toxic people leave your life and return in different faces? You might ask yourself, how is it possible and why is it possible? Some relationship comes with a term policy, not a universal policy. After the term is over, it is no longer an asset but a liability. If you try to activate the policy after the terms expire, you are forging a policy that does not exist. You could even possibly go to jail trying to forge that policy that does not exist. Welcome to my channel, Alpha Omega Inspirations, where we keep it real. I'm Yvonne Facey. I will be talking about toxic people leave and return in different phases. Toxic relationships affect every level of associations. Example, family, friends, associate, co-workers, spiritual leaders. Most of these relationships did not start out toxic, but end toxic for you to come to the understanding it has been terminated. God works in time and season, and relationships takes the same pattern and cycles. Many people are not taught to develop or foster great relationships with family, friends, and peers. Most of us exposed to relationships at home, school, and churches, and on the jobs where we meet people to foster a different level of relationships. Most of us live in a generational cycle where our family, friends, and peers never taught how to assess and know the difference between great or toxic relationships. Several relationships God allowed to become toxic to remove them from my life to get to my next level of success. They were people who I should kept as an associate and not allow them to be a confidant. They are friends, treated like a sister, and she was a blessing blocker in my life. God had brought me in her life a year before she got terminally ill. My job when God brought me in her life was to help her through the process of her sickness. And then after she got well, my job was to exit and move on. But I stuck around after God had healed her, because the doctors had given her a few months to live. And I was there as a pillar of strength to her, encourage her, let her understand that the doctor can't heal her, but God can heal her. And God did heal her. And then after that process was over, my job was supposed to exit and move forward to the next level of my life, what God have in store for me. But we got along great. We hung out, and I thought the friendship was a great friendship, but the friendship was just a superficial friendship. In front of my face, I was a sister, but when I turned my back, there was a different type of relationship and behavior towards me that make that friendship become very toxic. And so that's where God was showing me. He kept showing me that it's time for me to move forward. Like 10 years prior to the relationship become toxic, God was showing me that my time and season in that friendship was over. But I continue to maintain the relationship with that person until God have to just drastically yank that person out of my life for me to understand, my daughter, your time and season is finished in this friendship, and I'm calling you for greater things. The first clue God gave me to let me know this friendship is expired was when she said something very offensive to me. That statement a real friend would not make to another. Now God is using my life experiences to help others to understand when to reject, terminate, or delete toxic relationships. Many people still nurture a toxic relationship that can keep you back. Many people you know from back when. One of the most dangerous relationships is some of the people you knew and hold you to your past. The Bible tells us that when Jesus went to his own country, he taught and the people were astonished, but they were also offended at him. They kept saying, "Isn't this Joseph, the carpenter's son? He can't possibly have this kind of wisdom and do these mighty works. We know him, and he's just one of us." Jesus could not do many mighty miracles there because of their unbelief. They render his power inoperative because of unbelief. How many of us get our dream, vision, goals inoperative because of these types of familiarity from the people who knows us? Many of us led to believe if we hang around our peer group, we cannot learn much from them. So we hang out with the older group of people for them to impart some wisdom for our next level. Some of their children have not gotten to that level, so you should not. Here is Saul, who loved David. The soul of Jonathan his son was knitted to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as himself. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David. He loved David as himself. David was to become king over Jonathan, the son of Saul. And Saul just hated that. And Saul wanted his son Jonathan to do everything possible to destroy David, really, to get into the chair as a king. But Jonathan didn't care to become a king. He wanted David to be king. And his father got angry at him. And Saul threw a spear at Jonathan to kill him. Saul's jealousy caused him to try to kill David because he did not want him to supersede the throne over his son Jonathan. And how many times we have come across these kind of relationships where you were very close with a person, the family, these were two families who was very close, and once one excel above the other, then all the conflict, all the hate comes out, and then we see the true personality of those people. How will it help you or the other person to develop vision, goals, and objectives? Look at it from a personal level. Am I inspiring the people in my life to their aspiration? We first have to understand that some relationships come with expiry dates or term agreement called times and seasons. Some will last for a lifetime and others a period or just a season. We see relationships fade away after a long period of time. Could be a marriage, friendships, associates, and peer. People talk about those people as being users. They are ingrate. They are enemies, selfish, hypocrites. So, for you to impact their lives or change your life or help you with a project or a situation and move to influence others, your lack of knowledge did not allow you to see that the term policy expire with no renewal options. Few relationships after its terms terminated has an option to renew in the future. Most of these relationships starts good but become toxic when it passed the expiration date. Many people want to maintain long-term relationship with a term policy. You buy a whole life insurance policy, it is for the long term with cash built up dividends. The term insurance policy saves more money in your pocket to have the ability to invest more with a higher return on your capital. It is similar to some relationships. If you want long-term, build on it and do not suffocate it. You know, sometimes people want to maintain a long-term relationship, but they put a cord around the relationship and they keep tightening the cord and tightening the cord and basically just tighten it to the point that they just suffocate it and it just come to a standstill of death because it can't breathe anymore because of how they keep tying this rope tight and tight around this friendship. How do you build on it? Add value to it. Make it not just about you. Consider the other person's feeling. Keep away from toxic conversations. Be a positive influence and aspire them to their aspirations. The relationship with the term policy, learn how to turn it into an asset and not a liability, and walk away with a more significant investment. Many of us attract the same people with different faces, so the cycle of toxic relationships continue in our life. Even after you have terminated those people you knew that was toxic in your life. How is that possible? You terminated the toxic relationship but did not change your interview strategy. You're saying, Yvonne, what do you mean by changing your interview strategy? Do I sit with a pen and paper and interview this person? No. As you try to associate with the person, you listen to their conversation and you will pick these key points from their conversation. Interviewing for what you want in the new relationship. Example, what is their overall mindset towards success? You like to read. Do they love to read? Types of books they like. What kind of conversation do you find inspiring? What is their beliefs versus your belief system? Have they already achieved what you're trying to achieve? What are their goal and objective for achievements on a professional, social, spiritual, and psychological level? Some people are not ordained to go to your next level with you or your next season. They were great for this level or this season, but the next level they're unable to go because they weren't ordained or they weren't predestined to go with you. So once you have not severed that tie and try to take them into your next season or your next level with you, it will become very difficult. It's like some relationship that's with a dead weight pulling you back instead of pushing you ahead. So it's like it would be a stone tied to you and you're walking forward, but because of this big stone tied to you, it's pulling you backward. And this is what happened when some relationship that they are not ordained to go to your next level or the next season with you. That's how it is. It pulls you back instead of pushing you forward. Some are not motivated to move to a higher level. You have to leave them and get them to get to your next level or to your next goal. Here is an example of a toxic relationship return. You terminated Sue from your life because she's very destructive to your growth and success. A few months later, Mary shows up in your place of worship. You welcome her and make her feel at home. You begin to hang out with her about 3 months, then start to observe some of Sue's traits in her, the same controlling, condescending behaviors. You never take the time to understand what Mary represents and if you both flow in harmony with each other. As in Amos would say, can two walk together unless they agree? Never compromise your character for anyone. Some people feel that if it is family members they are in toxic relationships with, they cannot cut the cord. God had to remove Abraham from his family to bless him. They had too much negative energy that would make his blessing inoperative. Abraham's father was an idol worshiper. That is a contaminated environment. Do not allow yourself to be exhausted or diverted by toxic relationships to keep you from your God-given destiny. Release those toxic people and turn them over to God to help them and keep going. Remember to change your interview strategy. When toxic people leave and celebrate, they no longer blocking your oxygen flow. When toxic people go from your life, toxic things stop happening. Can you imagine these toxic people? It's like they just block your oxygen flow, so you find it difficult to breathe. You could even turn into a different color, because when you lack oxygen, people become blue. They could be pale, looking like having like this bluish color, because the oxygen flow is blocked. And that's what toxic relationship does to a lot of us life. We might not having an oxygen monitor, oxygen tank connected to us, but that's exactly what a toxic relationship really do to your life. It block your oxygen flow. So how you need to breathe and to achieve the things you need to, you find it very difficult or very challenging to achieve. What value that relationship bring to you or the next person involved? Does it enhance you or the individual lives? I will discuss toxic relationship with the family and also toxic relationship with spiritual leaders in other upcoming videos. Stay connected, and thanks for subscribing to my channel, Alpha Omega Inspiration. Peace.